Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Let's Max Warframe. Today we're going to be taking a look at a request from a subscriber, namely the Dubstep Game Player, for a weapon that's actually no longer obtainable in the game, the Wraith Twin Vipers, and its little brother, the Twin Vipers. Now the Wraith Twin Vipers were the top reward in the Cicero Crisis event, which required players to gain 100 points by scanning and gathering plant matter to craft into antitoxins, to put into an injector that the Grineer were using to poison the forests on the Earth tileset. Currently the Wraith Vipers are not able to be acquired in the game, however that's not to say they're not going to return in the future. But just because they're rare, does that mean that they're actually any good? Let's have a look at the base stats when compared to the standard Twin Vipers. Firstly, you gain an additional 2 damage a shot from 16 to 18, with the majority of the damage coming in the form of impact. You also get a substantially larger magazine size, with 40 on the Wraith and 28 on the standard Twin Vipers. A slight increase in the critical chance from 15 to 18%. There's also a 5-fold increase in the status chance, taking it from a massive 1% to 5% status. The Wraith also comes with better accuracy over the standard Twin Vipers, although not what I would call accurate, it's not bad either. It's not without its faults, however, and the downsides are traits that both the standard Twin Vipers and the Wraith Twin Vipers share. Firstly, due to one of its greatest strengths, its amazing fire rate, comes its greatest weakness, ammo economy. The ammo economy on the Vipers is absolutely horrendous, and especially when you put on a mod like Lethal Torrent, a single tap of the fire button leads to something like a 6 or 7 round burst every time. It's even worse if you get into a situation where you have to empty your magazine regularly, which you can do with an absolutely scary speed on these things. Your ammo count goes so quickly through the floor, you're actually going to be standing on ammo restores before you know it. The fire rate can also lead to overkill. If an enemy only requires a couple of hits to kill, because of that fire rate you are firing at least 6 or 7 every time, then there's quite a lot of wasted ammunition. Although this isn't a massive problem, it is something to bear in mind while using these sidearms. Okay, so let's move on to how we're going to mod the Wraith Twin Vipers and also the standard Twin Vipers. Since they both come with a dash polarity as standard, the build is going to be the same between the two weapons. We're going to add another 4 Former, we're going to add in 3 Vs and a dash, so you end up with a total of 3 Vs and 2 dashes on the weapon. We've got 5 mods that are going to remain the same between all 3 of our builds. We've got Hornet Strike, Barrel Diffusion, Lethal Torrent, Pistol Gambit for crit chance, and Pistol Ammo Mutation. This is pretty much an absolute must on this weapon. Now between the 3 builds we've got only the elemental mods that are going to change between our builds. Now as you can see there's no Magnum Force on the weapon, purely because it turns into an absolute bullet hose with no chance of hitting anything at all, so it's really not worth having it on the weapon. In previous videos I've had a side by side to show with and without Magnum Force, however I don't feel that at that short of range it really actually shows anything, so I'm going to leave it out for this video. However, if you'd like to see it return and to stay in the videos, just put a comment in the comments below the video as to whether you actually think that should remain a part of the video or not. Okay, so let's move on to the elemental mods we're going to use for our builds. And for Grineer, since we've only got room for 3 elemental mods, we're going to Convulsion and Heated Charge for radiation, and Frostbite, which is the best single elemental out of Frostbite, out of the cold and the poison that we've got left over. Cold is the best to be doing since it has an extra 25% more damage against the clone flesh of the Grineer. Now if we're going to have a look at our Corpus build, we're going to go with Convulsion and Frostbite, which is going to bring up magnetic damage and pathogen rounds for that toxin damage against the fleshier Corpus units, things like your techs and your new nullifiers. Now on our Void build we're going to go with Convulsion, Pistol Pestilence and pathogen rounds to absolutely max out a corrosive damage on this weapon, since we've got very nice impact damage to deal with the shielded units in the Void, which makes this a very well-rounded Void weapon. So onto my recommendation as to whether either of these are worth the time and effort invested into them, and the answer to everything is absolutely yes they are. The Wraith Twin Vipers and the standard Twin Vipers are pretty solid secondary weapons, if you like bullet hose type sidearms. The damage output for these is actually pretty scary and can shred units in seconds, especially if you need to put a lot of damage onto a target in a very short amount of time, like in boss fights for example. Now I know that the Wraith Vipers are not obtainable currently, however if you have them and haven't put former into them, it's definitely worth doing. If you don't have them, then it's definitely worth putting the former into the standard Twin Vipers. The damage isn't going to be quite the same as the Wraith, but it's still going to be reasonable enough. And the major weakness in the fire rate combined with that ammo economy can be mitigated to some extent, by making sure you're burst firing at all times. And as you can see during the video, if you do that, then combining it with the ammo mutation can actually be a pretty decent combo, and can keep the Twin Vipers from running dry all of the time. In terms of additional things that you can do with the weapons, there is a little bit of flexibility in the build on the weapons. You can switch the mods around and have a Seeker on the weapon for that punch through, increasing its damage against large groups of enemy. You could remove ammo mutation for elemental mods, which, although I wouldn't advise to do that, it is viable if you wish to use ammo restores a ton throughout the mission. Now the build that I have shown is the one that I use for the Wraith, and I'll be perfectly honest, it's not let me down once. So in essence, amazing fire rate, crazy damage output in a small amount of time, and an ammo count that requires a bit of management. The Wraith Twin Vipers and the standard Twin Vipers are solid secondary weapons for those that like bullet hose based sidearms. Just a little heads up from me, there seems to be an update coming, possibly today, the 18th, that is going to include a new Archwing, and what also sounds like possibly an Archwing based event. So keep an eye out for my first look on that new Archwing, and also the stream can now be a dual purpose one, to deal with Nova Prime, and also help some of you with the event. On the topic of Nova Prime, I do have Soma Prime and the Vasto Prime already in build, so expect videos on those to be coming very soon. Now I apologise to those of you that have had requested weapons and weapon videos. They are on my list of things to do and they will be coming shortly, but the amount of content recently has kept me very busy, especially as I refuse to buy them with real money and I really want to earn them in game. As always guys, a massive thanks from me for the support. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, it helps me out a ton, and I shall see you in the next episode.